I haven't been literally getting my fingers and getting dirt under my nails of underwriting deals and looking at them. What's up, everyone? Jeff COGA here, and welcome to Jeff COGA Live. On this episode of Jeff COGA Live, I want to talk about kind of a week recap from April 9th to the 15th, and I've decided to kind of do this little quick rant and recap because one, clearly I'm spitting out a lot of content more than ever before. It's not the first time I've spit out a lot of content. Back in 08, 09, when I really got started in video marketing, I spit out a lot of content in the course of a year. And then from there, I consolidated down after I got my strong foundation of loyal followers. So I'm actually doing the same blueprint since then, which is to spit out tons and tons of content, making sure that this content is great, but also at the same time, it can impact people, right? Because what's the point of just watching stuff for the sake of watching stuff if you ain't got to learn nothing, right? So I got some couple stuff from April 9th to April 15th, and it was a rough week. Really, it was a rough week. I mean, it kind of tied in from even the week before that, because the week before that, we blew up literally 3 deals that we can get in a pocket. Okay, and in this pocket, the city is called Encino, and I knew for a fact if we got them under contract, one way, shape, or form, at least 2 out of the 3, okay, possibly, I knew that we could have probably made about $200,000 on those transactions. And why? Because I've done these types of deals where you get properties under contracts that a lot of developers are building, and then you can sell the contractual rights to those properties for a pretty significant assignment fee. I'm not talking about like the usual assignment fee that most people get, which is like $8 grand to $10 grand, okay? In Los Angeles, most wholesalers here, I know for a fact, averages about $8 grand, right? The ones that make more are working on deals, what I like to call the added play wholesale deals, right? Where they're actually getting contracts that you can knock down the building and you can actually build a little McMansion on them, and or it's zoned R2, R3, R4, and then there's a single family home on it, or it's an undersized home that's on that lot. And because it's zoned R2, R3, R4, you can knock them down because it's special zoning to build units on, and you can knock them down and build units, okay? So those are only like the typical ways that wholesalers make money. Now, I have done custom homes, I've done development deals and things like that. So I'm looking for the perfect one to get back into. The last new construction home, custom home I've done was 2 years ago in the city of Studio City, and it was like a McMansion. And then I got out of it completely, and I kind of went into hibernation for 2 years. I got married in that process, and I had a lot of internal things that I was running in. But as I'm back in it for this year, I've decided to document a lot of stuff. And this past week on those 3 deals, because I've been in the game, meaning like I've been doing transactional kind of broker to broker type of referral deals where I just generate the leads for other real estate agent at a traditional, like a listing level or for buyers, and then they would cut me a fee for generating those, or they'll hire me as a consultant and put me on a retainer, and I'll just set up the lead generation for them and I get paid on it, right? Because that's kind of my forte. So literally I've been in it, but I haven't been literally getting my fingers and getting dirt under my nails of underwriting deals and looking at them, right? Like this past quarter alone, I think I've probably underwritten maybe at least like 11 parcels on units that are 15 plus units, right, that I've been looking at to buy. One of them I actually have raised money for it, and I backed out at the last minute because my gut said, heck no, I'm not getting into this. And then there's some couple other ones that I backed out. But I want to talk about that 200,000 because Los Angeles City came up with a new ordinance, and I thought, for whatever reason, if you heard me talk about this, is I thought that the ordinance isn't going to affect these 3 deals. But then the more I investigated, the more I went back to talk to my architect, I went back to talk to my engineers, and then I found out that yes, these 3 parcels were affected by it. And not only was it affected, but literally the price that the seller has kind of verbally agreed to give it to us at literally made it useless and worthless pretty much. Can we get maybe a listing out of it? Possibly. and we're going to see if we can go ahead and turn, as I like to call, lemons into lemonade, and to do that deal. But that's what happens. So as I figure that I do these types of recap type of videos, or if you're listening to this on the audio, I think it's good to hear, one, it's not rainbows, and it's not just unicorns, and it's not all sunshines in space of real estate, and because we did get 6 new contracts. Okay, when I say contracts, it's literally a real estate contract, and I use the term contract wise because I can make money at the listing side, or if I'm actually going to buy it, wholesale it, and turn the paper, right? So we got 6 contracts back. 5 of them are new listings, and 1 is a possible wholesale deal that can maybe turn into like a 10 grand, 15 grand assignment. We'll see what happens. I got the contract back, but I haven't physically underwritten it yet. That's how I operate, especially in the space of the investment where I got way too many other stuff going on. So I don't underwrite it until we get an offer accepted, and or until one of my guys says, hey, the seller's willing to take it at this price, and they've kind of gotten a verbal commitment. All right, that's typically the case, and or they went to see the property, and the best case scenario is see the property and then they got a verbal, right? That's when I'll start underwriting it. So this contract I got, I don't know, I'm looking at from the surface level, but we'll see. It's in the city of LA, and the zip code is 90036. So it's one of the hottest zip codes in LA, and I think we can turn it into something, which is gonna be cool. And worst case scenario, we may have to pivot that into a listing. So if that happens, hey, with all means, it'll work out. And why is because LA's medium home prices are like 400,000, right? So in the sheer fact that it's like 400,000, right? You make 3% of that, you're doing 12 grand. You're making more than the typical assignment fee of most wholesalers in Los Angeles. People get infatuated with wholesaling, and there's wholesaling, oh my god, you make a lot of money. No, man, it's just straight real estate arbitrage. You just literally have an option at a strike price, and you're selling it, and you don't make huge rips. Yes, are there ones where you can make big assignment fees? Yes. Have I gotten wholesale fees that are plus 50 grand? Yes, I have. Okay. I haven't done one that's 200 grand assignment fee, on one contract. That I haven't done. I do know friends that have, but those deals were typically either a double. I'm talking about straight double close. Well, I've done double close, and I made over 100 before, but that's different than actually selling your position. Okay, because I'm a firm believer selling your position as an assignment versus double closing it's totally different. So we got that, and 3 deals this week I did back out of. One of it being units. It was a 4-plex. The seller wanted $900,000 on this. The underlying loan on it is about $750 on it, and it cash flows. The total gross cash flow per month was $4,200 or so. But the seller wants $900, and it just doesn't make sense. Now, I could swing for the fence and have them be like, hey, by the way, because I basically pitched the guy, says, hey, you know what, would you be willing to keep the loan under your name, and I'll take over your mortgage payments, and you can make some cash. Would you be interested in that? And he said, well, it all has to make sense. And I was like, okay. And then I said, all right, well, who's involved? What are you going to do with the money? Right? Because usually for that type of option of taking over someone's payments, right? Meaning instead of just doing a straight flat out cash sale, okay, you have to figure out on the other side, the seller, what are they going to do with the money? All right. And that's where a lot of new people in the space of investing, or even, matter of fact, even in real estate, right? This is the reason why they only get one transaction out of it versus multiple transaction if you're doing traditional real estate like listing and selling, right? You don't ask what is a seller going to do with the money once they get it, because once you figure out what they're going to do with the money, you can kind of figure out what that type of individual is, right? Meaning if they sell the house and they suddenly have a liquidation type of deal where they get capital in, right? It's a capitalization thing where you get 400,000, 500,000 just go bloop in your checking account, okay? I rest assured you will learn tremendously when you ask the question, so what are you planning to do once that money hits your checking account? right? And you ask that question, and if they say, oh yeah, I would go out there and go to Las Vegas and blow it, okay, right? You can kind of figure out what the person is, okay? Now, if they say something like, well, I have to take care of bills or back bills or whatever it is, then, or taxes or whatever it is, then you'll find out, okay, that was the reason why they sold. They didn't sell because they wanted to sell, they were forced to sell. All right, and that's why they needed the money to take care of those other outstanding bills. Okay, the other ones are reason why people typically sell is one, obviously financial or money issues where they need it, and if they need the money, right, those are a little bit easier to sell. Okay, but it's not the ones where you get multiple transaction or even referral business out of. The people that you're going to get referral business out of and the people that you're going to get multiple side transaction out of are people that wanted to sell. Okay, there's a dramatic difference on people who need to sell and they want to sell. All right, I know it's kind of like, Jeff, you're semantics here, you're doing a little wordplay here. No, there is a difference. Okay, want to sell is someone that says, oh, home prices have gone up in my area, maybe I should find out how much it's worth, so because if it is worth what I think it is, man, I can make some money, right? That's a want, right? It's not a need. It's not a, like, I must sell, right? Like, hey, someone passed away and it's in probate, I need to sell, right? Or someone of my family needs money, I need to sell, right? Like, those are different scenarios, right? Versus if you get someone that I want to sell, okay, can you turn them into a real estate investment, a deal that an investor can take down? Yeah, you can. If you went after like a certain zoning, you went after a certain, like the footprint of the property is smaller than the medium footprint of that area, then with all means, you can add 500 square feet, you can add 1,000 square feet. So even if you offer almost like 90% of fair market value, you can make it work. You can even offer 100% of fair market value and you can still make the deal work. All right, but that's a want, okay, versus someone that needs, right? For example, another need is a kid's on the way and another kid is going to a different school and they want to make sure that they go into the school district, right? And then the wife is just like, we need to go there. So if they say that, that's a borderline need versus want. Do they have to do that? No, but if it's for their family, people do whatever they need to do to make stuff happen for their family, right? So you got to understand that. A sophisticated marketer, a sophisticated business owner understands that, and when you understand that, you'll understand the fact that 90% of people in our business in the real estate space only focuses on people who need to sell. That's why you don't get referral business. That's why your cost of doing business is so much higher and acquiring leads are so higher versus going after people who want to sell is because people say, well, if I talk to them now, they're not going to sell till 6 months or 9 months later. So heck, I just want to make sure I can talk to someone that'll give me a contract in the next 30 days. And will that work? Yeah, it'll work, but it's a short-sighted strategy. It's not a long-term sustainable strategy when the market starts pivoting and the market starts changing, right? So you need to have both. And if you're starting off, yes, go after the people that need to sell, but then start taking a percentage, allocate some more time to go after who want to sell, because that's your pipeline, okay? Going after people and doing follow-ups on people who need to sell, that's just smart business, but it's not a real follow-up game in my opinion, because I rest assured your competition is doing the exact same thing, all right? So let me tie it into kind of the last thing as I'm going into the office, a story of kind of friendship, okay? Because as this digital world is going on, and maybe it's just me because I'm from that quote-unquote digital generation, right? I'm the millennial age, right? So the other generation, I come to realize, like the older generation, they sometimes feel that, oh, we just like to do stuff on the internet, email and text. We don't like to talk. And that's far from the truth, I think, The guys that came back with these contracts, right? They're literally like in the same age as me. They're either in the 30s, right, late 30s or something like that, or I have some guys that are rock stars in their 20s. Okay, one kid is 25. He's a rock star, man, just an absolute rock star. Number one guy in the brokerage, outperforming 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds. Guys have been in business 20+ years, just outperforming them. The sheer fact that he's willing to work hard. Now, I get it. If you have a family, right, and you can't put in the certain hours, I get it, right? Because he's working literally from like 7 to like 11 p.m. Okay, and so he's working a lot more hours. But the crazy part about it is that if you're older, you have a lot more life experience. So I'm a firm believer that you can't put a dollar sign on life experience, in my opinion, right? Versus he's a young kid, so he doesn't have that life experience. But what he's really good at is literally he's honing his craft as a salesman. right? He's not shying away from the sales process. He's not shying away from getting on the phones. He's not shying away from actually following up and talking to people. You know, even though people believe that, hey, our generation is all digital and stuff, but he's not shying away from that. I know that for a fact that he practices that, because from the first time I heard him take like inbound calls, right, from me, I'm listening to it, and I was just like, you like, you know, like literally order taking, all right, on the phone. Like, I'm talking about order taking, like a call comes in and then you say your line, like, how may I help you? Like, really? That's not how you close. And that's not even how you actually get contracts, all right? A lot of fake salespeople, as I like to call it, think that, you know, hey, I did X amount of sales, and this is not just in real estate. This is like literally any salespeople, okay? It can be from selling cell phones, selling insurance. It can be from selling, you know, construction material, whatever it is. If you get an inbound call, right, and you get someone that needs to sell or needs to buy, okay, I'll say it again, in the space of real estate, it needs to sell, right? But if you get someone that needs to buy something, okay, you can be a monkey and you'll still get a deal, all right? Half of it you should still get someone to sign a dotted line if they need to sell, okay? Versus if they want to sell. So this kid, Colin, right, he's talking, and before he was doing that, and then, you know, I told him, says, hey, start working on doing mock calls, start working with people in your office. And I know that he's been doing that because I can tell the way that he's talking to the people now he's controlling the conversation. He knows exactly what he's saying. He knows exactly what the other person is always going to respond with. And his pitch is literally the same. Okay, and this is how you know you got it down to a science, okay? Where if you're a great salesperson, your pitch is the same. I don't care who you're talking to. I don't care if it's a person that needs to sell, needs to buy, or just wants to buy or wants to sell, okay? Your pitch is exactly the same. Why? Is because the script in it follows a pattern where you can get and figure out what the heck is going on, and then from there you hit them with the iron fist to figure out, hey, if they want to sell. Okay, so I heard it, and we got in a long conversation, and you know, he's getting recruited by a lot of you know, other people from outside brokerages, because, you know, you pull up his stats and you can see he does good. He's just a one-man show with the TC. That's it. Did what, 36 sides last year, right? And what I think he said like 14 million or something like that, right? So, you know, some of my clients, some of my friends do significantly a lot more than that. But for a one-man show doing it, I think in the business, what, 4 years now or something like that, I think that's really, really good. And the big thing is that the potential that he has to do a lot better. But the conversation came into really asking about, you know, hey, what are some other things that he can do to keep on growing his business? He's on track to surpassing last year's number. That's for damn sure, right? But he was just asking, so what are some of the things, you know? I said, definitely got the front end engine figured out. But I said, but the only issue with trying to just scale the front end side, right? Because I told him, I said, hey, we can scale this puppy. But I said, if we start scaling this, one or two things need to happen. One, you need to delegate more of the follow-up or the back end side of your business to someone else, because you just don't have enough time in the day, right? Now, if you do that at this moment in time of your business, I said, it may be very dangerous, because I said, look, and I asked the question, when's the last time, have you ever managed a team or managed people? He's like, no. And I said, okay, so if you have never done that, then you definitely have a learning curve there, because it takes a different type of skills and ability to be able to manage and train and have someone do something on your back end side, right? So I said, look, keep it as an open possibility, but let's go the other side, right? Let's just say you say, hey, screw it, man, I'm just going to work harder than I ever had, because I asked the question, says, can you work a little bit harder? You think you can put in some more time? And I was like, heck yeah, I can probably go another 30% or 20% harder. So I said, okay, that's fine, you're a young kid. But he said, but I don't want to go too hard where I actually burn out. That's what he said. And I said, dude, man, you're 20 something. I said, 20-year-olds don't get burned out. That's what I told him. And I said, 30-year-olds don't get burnt out either. I said, maybe if you're in your 40s and 50s, maybe. That's what I said, you know. Obviously, I'm not there, and I'm saying it from a place of just observation. I said, you don't get burnt out, you know. And he started laughing, and I was just like, but take this as a consideration. I said, hey, right now we're going into summer season and more leads are coming up. And the issue right now with these campaigns that we're doing, right, because we started in January, right? January, and just from a couple of stuff that I've been working on, I think the number is like he has literally like 11 sides to a transaction, okay? And I said, look, you want to do something that has the highest leverage point, number one, of your time. Okay, I said, meaning that if you do something and you set it up, you have the highest leverage where it doesn't eat up into your time. And then secondly, not only does it not eat up into your time, but also the number two thing is that it's low maintenance for you to get leads. Meaning, like, if someone calls you on it, they're ready to work with you. Right? Because all these other ones, we're doing a front end thing by going after who want to sell or who need to sell, because we're mixing it up, right? So those require tremendous amount of bandwidth and energy to do the follow-up campaigns on, right? So we started dissecting it, and what we came up with, that I said is, hey, look at all the clients that you've actually have closed deals with, because he's a real estate agent first, okay? And then he does some investing himself. He does flips too. And I said, look at that. And I said, you got the list already, because I told you to do it before. He says, we need to figure out a back-end campaign to be able to send at least mailers to. Because remember, before working with him, he would do mailers, and he would send out anywhere from $2 to $3 grand on every single drop. And that's how he would generate leads, right? But we stopped doing direct mail. But he's willing to do some other stuff. And so I said, hey, you may want to do something like that where, hey, last year they bought a house from you or they sold a house from you, right? Send them something as a 1-year anniversary, right? You can set that up on a system now, okay? Send that. Someone that bought or sold a house from you 2 years ago, do the exact same thing. Figure out what that's going to be. And then figure out a referral program, so that way by the time that you sell, you can push a button and the stuff will get sent out. So that way, one, they'll actually refer your business. Okay, so that's kind of the conversation that we got into, and that's my kind of a recommendation for everyone else, depending on where you're at in the business, right? Is to, one, have a short-term strategy, right? Which is to figure out the front-end acquisition of new business, but also at the same time, do not just live, because if you just only do that, you live and die by that strategy alone. And if the market changes and that strategy stops working or isn't as effective because everyone else starts doing it, then you're going to be in a world of hurt. Ask me how I know that. Okay, so I challenge everyone as I do this recap, right, from April 9th to the 15th. I talked about these contracts, of the 6 contracts, right, 3 deals I walked out on, right, is that I challenge you to work at least 10%, 5% of your time on going after a lot more of people who want to sell, and then start setting up referral programs or ways on the digital space to control actual assets that's going to get you business over and over. So that's what I got for you. I'm in the office now. I got to get to work, and love you guys. Take care.